And then this morning, this one is called How to Hunger for God. And why don't we turn for just a minute to Matthew chapter 11. Matthew chapter 11, because this is actually a little two-part study. I'm going to finish it tonight. But if we want to hunger for God in our lives, we have to start with the last three verses of Matthew chapter 11 by learning to rest. Now, if you were listening to Paul Gardner, wasn't that foreign this morning to sit around and read 16th century letters? I mean, in our culture, isn't that foreign? I mean, you got to have Shockwave 5.0, you know, and real media player, and you got to have MP3s, and you've got to have, I mean, you can't have Hokey Pokey 28.8 or 56, yeah, or even 90. You've got to have a broadband line so you can just download stuff off your computer at lightning speed, right? I mean, who will read 16th century books? People that are resting in God. You know, one of the temptations of our culture today is to stay up to speed with our culture. Think about it. It's not, when I grew up in Lansing, we used to have 3 channels. I mean, when my parents let me watch TV, we had 3 channels, 6, 10, and 12. I don't know if you still have those 3 channels in Lansing, but probably nobody even knows it because they all have 500 channels, right? Or 1,000 channels. And they've got, you know, every, you know what I mean? And so you can just sit there and turn the button and go from one to another and never come back to where you were and spend the whole night doing it. And you know what? You've spent another whole night or whole day or whole whatever away from the Lord. You know, we don't know very much about what Jesus says. Let's read it. You guys have your Bibles there. I won't do this to you yet, but I always make the people at Tulsa Bible Church stand up when we read the Bible. It's just an old-fashioned. I've traveled enough around the world that people overseas cannot sit down to pray or read the Bible. Did you know that? They say it's so holy to talk to God and listen to God, we can't be normal. So even at meals, they never sit down to pray. Either they get on their knees or they stand up. And when they read the Bible, they either get on their knees or they stand up. Primarily in Russia, which is one of the fastest growing churches these days. Do you know what? In America, we're very casual with God. Everything about Him. But you can be casual this morning, but not after this, okay? You listen. Matthew 11, 28 to 30. Come to me, Jesus said, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I think that's one of the greatest descriptions of American culture in the 21st century, laboring and heavy laden people in every, I mean, we even make our leisure to be laboring and heavy laden. I mean, just packing the stuff and keeping the boat and, you know, and getting the motorhome out of storage and getting it. I mean, we get worn out before we even have leisure. Okay, now, look. Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. This morning, I'd like to share with you how to cultivate a life resting in God. And that is foreign to us, but it pays the greatest dividends. You'll never come to the end of the dividends of learning the joy of resting in God this morning, and a byproduct of resting in God we'll see is hungering for God tonight. And if you miss everything else, give your lunch to Jesus. Give Him whatever you have last night. Learn to rest in God in the midst of a frantic culture we live in. And then in that time of resting in Him, pull out the Word and learn to hunger for Him. And I'll tell you what, your life, wherever you live and whatever you do, will be so powerful. You don't need to go to Bora Bora. You can have one of the world-changing ministries in your local school, your college, your workplace. Did you know people will stop and look at you? They will say, what is going on in your life? You are so, as they said about Daniel, you have the spirit of the gods. And they'll see that. They'll see reality in your life.